Okay, I've got a game for you. What has a lot of teeth, is worth oodles of money, and is potentially sitting in Chris Pratt's living room? If you guessed me, you are sadly mistaken. I don't have that many teeth. Second guess? You got it. It's the Jurassic World movie. In order of least to most interesting, here are 20 super cool facts about the making of the Jurassic World movie that might surprise you. So stick around if you want to hear about the most random, low-key, hilarious cameo in this film. I'm Brooke, and this is From Script to Screen, brought to you by Retro Penguin. Number 20. Grossing at $208.8 million during its opening weekend, Jurassic World became the highest domestic opening of all time, not accounting for inflation, surpassing Marvel's The Avengers at $207.4 million. With a $316 million international opening, it surpassed Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 as the biggest opening in box office history, which opened with $315 million in 2011. Its global opening achieved $524.1 million, making it the highest global opening of all time. I guess it helps when you're working off of one of the most famous film franchises ever. Number 19. The Jeep number 29 that the kids repair and drive away from the original visitor center is the same one ridden by Hammond and Gennaro in the original film. The Jeep number 18 that Owen and Claire hide behind is the one ridden by Grant, Sattler, and Malcolm when they first arrive on the island in the original film. Number 18. Many members of the cast have appeared in movies and series based on Marvel Comics. Chris Pratt, as we all know, played Star-Lord in the MCU. Bryce Dallas Howard played Gwen Stacy in Spider-Man 3. Ty Simpkins played Harley in Iron Man 3. Irfan Khan played an Oscorp executive in The Amazing Spider-Man. Omar Sy played Bishop in the X-Men, Days of Future Past. Vincent D'Onofrio played Wilson Fisk in Daredevil, and Judy Greer played Maggie Lang in Ant-Man. Number 17. Claire never removes her high heels during the entire course of the film, not even when the T-Rex is right behind her. Given that many of the scenes involve a high level of activity and running, Bryce Dallas Howard had to endure specific training learning how to move fast in the shoes while adding, "It's way better than running barefoot in a jungle." Honestly, I don't even know about that girl. Those calluses must be made of steel. Number 16. At around an hour and 40 minutes into the film, the hologram of the Dilophosaurus in the educational center is from the original Jurassic Park movie. The Dilophosaurus' footage is from when Nedry was attacked. Similarly, the Velociraptor hologram from earlier in the film is from the kitchen scene where Lex and Tim were attacked. Number 15. Did you know you can visit the Indominous Rex Paddock? It is a practical set built at Kualoa Ranch in Oahu, Hawaii, and it's still there. However, it only has two sides. The side with the observation deck and the side with the door, and it's made of steel, styrofoam, chicken wire, and plywood. The scratches on the wall remain, as do the tablets in the observation deck. A jungle expedition tour at the ranch takes visitors right through the main door of the paddock and onwards. Just through the main door is the river where the Indominus Rex camouflaged itself, along with other set pieces from movies such as Kong Skull Island. Number 14. The Indominus Rex only has 7 minutes of screen time. Kinda shocking, all things considered. Number 13. The Gyrosphere attraction was executive producer Steven Spielberg's idea. Once again, what a genius. It was intended to be a way for people to get up close and personal with the animals to make it a self-driving, free-roaming experience. And when the team was tasked with creating this thing for the screen, they really created it. To get those beautiful shots of Zach and Gray riding through the fields and jungle surrounded by dinosaurs, they built a contraption that could sit atop a track, propelled by an off-screen controller, and move along the track as well as rotate around itself. And of course, for some of the more intense moments in the gyrosphere, they had to use other machines along with green screens to capture the full scope of movement required for a dinosaur attack. Number 12. There were many scrapped ideas when it came to writing the script for Jurassic World, but one that most confuses me is that Jurassic World was originally going to be about human-raptor hybrid soldiers. They even went as far as to have the concept designs created for the creatures. I'm good. Number 11. The props department had to make Jurassic World feel like a real amusement park. To help really sell this, they created unique merchandise and theme park props, sometimes using corporate sponsors to further the realism. The toys inside Jurassic Trader's gift shop are real products. The Velociraptor claw toy is a real toy of Hasbro's Jurassic World toy line, and other toys belong to the Jurassic Park 2009 and the 2011 Jurassic Park toy lines, only modified with a Jurassic World logo. so. There were also novelty Jurassic World cups and regular cups with the logo that were produced by Coca-Cola. All of these things help to create a real-world feel that we are used to seeing in theme parks. Number 10. At about an hour and 19 minutes into the film, Jimmy Buffett can be seen as a tourist running around, appropriately carrying 2 margaritas. Me. A branch of his Margaritaville restaurant chain can be seen on the Jurassic World City Walk. I just think that's really funny for some reason. I mean, how random can you be with a cameo? Number 9. Near the beginning of the film, when Owen is feeding the raptors, he starts off with Charlie and then eventually works his way up to Blue. The reason why she is fed last is because she's the pack's beta and the most dominant member. So Owen needs to establish that he as the alpha can feed them whenever he wants in whatever order he wants. And she needs to remember this in order for him to keep his status as the alpha of the pack. But as a way of balancing their dynamic, he also gives Blue the largest rat, rewarding her for being patient and still showing respect for her position. Number 8. After escaping her paddock, the Indominus Rex clearly knows Owen is still present, even if he doused himself in gasoline to hide his scent. Why didn't she knock the vehicle out of the way, similar to the truck from just before? It could be because he was under the crane, which Owen pointed out earlier as the only positive relationship the Indominus Rex has, and she was reluctant to hurt or destroy it. As an alternative, it's possible she couldn't sense him because of where they are, in Central America. It's swelteringly hot on the island, and the sun was shining down on all of that gravel, perhaps just enough to hide Owen's body temperature compared to the rest of the environment. Number 7. Director Colin Trevorrow came up with the idea of featuring the Mosasaurus, this movie's main marine reptile. He pitched the idea to Steven Spielberg of having the Mosasaurus feed on a shark in front of bleachers filled with park guests, which is pretty symbolic considering that sharks are one of the most hyped and feared predators, especially thanks to a little movie series directed by Spielberg himself. But comparatively, the Mosasaurus is no joke. The average size Mosasaurus can reach 40 feet long, but the biggest found was approximately 57 feet long, meaning they could have probably reached at least 60 feet in length. This movie's Mosasaurus was 72 feet long. This was probably due to the gaps in its DNA being filled with the DNA of modern animals. But despite her exaggerated size, the Mosasaurus was probably the most accurate animal in the entire park. Shout out 2 rows of teeth. Number 6. The roars of the Indominus Rex were made from the vocalizations of many different animals. To give the hybrid dinos vocal mass, vocalizations from walruses, whales, beluga whales, lions, pigs, monkeys, dolphins, and fennec foxes were used. The sound designers specifically used sound effects that were different from the Tyrannosaurus in the previous movies to differentiate the 2 theropods from each other, and wanted it to sound irritable to the viewers to make them dislike the hybrid. Number 5. In the final battle scene, we get to see Rexy, the original T-Rex from Jurassic Park, once again. We can see her almost learn how to fight again after being in captivity for some years. Once she's forced into combat against Indominus Rex, she gradually adjusts her tactics as they fight. At first, her intent is to drive the Indominus Rex away from her territory, so her actions were more showboating. After the Indominus Rex makes it clear that she's trying to kill her, Rexy gets her second wind and fights to kill. Even though Indominus Rex is designed to be genetically superior, Rexy has more fighting experience across her life than Indominus does, who has only been out of her paddock for about a day. And before Indominus starts to use her longer arms and claws, she was actually losing to Rexy's superior bite force due to the mass and shape of her skull. Even though the Mosasaurus reigns supreme in the end, I am still proud of Rexy for holding her own against a much younger and genetically more dangerous opponent. Number 4. Much to my surprise, the Velociraptors in this movie were created using motion capture. Yes, humans are actually playing the raptors. The director went to Industrial Light and Magic before production and conducted a ton of tests. They found that when a human is behind the movements, you can feel the weight, and it feels unlike what we've seen previously in CGI. Legacy Effects created the raptor heads the motion capture performers wore, as well as full-size painted heads for use on set as lighting references. While acting as the raptors, they apparently embodied videos of herons as the basis for the raptors' movements. CGI was later implemented to make the actors' movements translate to the raptors. Number 3. Claire's assistant, Zara, ultimately meets an unfortunate and intense demise at the jaws of the Mosasaurus. But before that, she was lifted, tossed around, dipped in the ocean, and caught between the beaks of many different pteranodons. It's probably one of the most epic ways you could die in a dinosaur movie. And the actress elected to do the stunt work herself. I gotta be honest, I think I would too, because it looks extremely cool. At the start of the scene, she runs in without being attached to any wires, and while the camera circles around to capture Zach and Gray's reactions, the team hooks her in via a harness and then yanks her up into the air. She is then dropped from a great height over a green screen, and then finally, they drop her into a tank of water, yanking her in and out of that as well. Awesome. Number 2. While there were some exceptions, for the most part, the actors had to run from, scream at, and interact with imaginary dinosaurs. In order to make this work in a believable way, the director was able to work with the graphics team to create rudimentary versions of the scene beforehand so that the actors knew what everything was supposed to look like. They used prop heads for some of the dinosaurs that may not be life-sized, but are certainly helpful in giving kind of a vision and occasionally representing their relative location. Other than that, the actors were often told what they were supposed to be seeing and where, and then just going for a take. Their imagination just takes over from that point. Okay, here we are at number 1, my favorite. In this film, there is only one time we see an animatronic used that isn't layered over with CGI. The scene where Claire and Owen come across a dying Apatosaurus is an extremely touching scene, in part due to the energy and realism that the animatronic contributed. The dinosaur required at least 4 operators to control different aspects such as the head, the neck, and the breathing mechanics. The animatronic blinked and moved its mouth and was an actor all in itself. The cast and crew present on that day of shooting all agree that the energy was highly emotional and almost spiritual as the animal passed. Alright, that's all I have for you this time. Thank you so much for watching. What was your favorite fact? Do you think you could have survived the events of this film? This has been From Script to Screen. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you next week. That's a wrap.